But let's use the self-driving car.
No, let's not. Bloody thing keeps crashing. Driverless cars, an enjoyable, futuristic luxury chauffeur ride, or deadly robots coming to take our jobs and kill us.
A fiery crash at the hands of no apparent driver. It's just the latest incident involving Tesla and possible use of their autopilot technology. The federal government is investigating more than 24 Tesla incidents.
Many major tech firms have invested in self-driving technology, including Tesla, Google, Amazon, and Apple. Eric Schmidt said that self-driving cars will be ready for use by the general public in years, not decades, but it's very much dependent on regulation. It's time to make it legal, he said.
The original ideas were developed in the 1990s. The first self-driving car won the challenge in 2004.
In 2012 we went, the sooner we can get cars to drive for us, the more lives we can save. Self-driving cars should become the predominant mode of transportation in our lifetime. The sooner we can get cars to drive for us, the more lives we can save. It's weird how these things are always presented as somehow being beneficial for human beings. Do you really imagine that in the boardrooms of these incredibly powerful and successful organisations, people are sat around saying, how many lives can we change? How can we help ordinary people? You can't do that. It's stitched into the DNA, the formational philosophy of these organisations is about making profit. That's what it is. What is a new market? That's how they talk. You know, like Facebook aren't venturing off into some new territory in Malaysia. How can we help them in Malaysia? This is a new territory. It's the same as colonisation. Once you've tyrannised in a serfdom an indigenous population, you have to look for new territories. Once you've saturated a market with one product, you have to look for more products to sell people. Strap something on your wrist, stick a chip in your brain. It has to go somewhere. There's always been a suspicion of like change from like agriculture into industry into all urbanization, and the reason there is a cynicism is because moving away from our nature, moving away from our autonomy and power, one might imagine there was a point in our evolution where we were more in harmony with our own awareness, a kind of animal intelligence that you can see in the creatures that are around you as we sort of unbolted from the natural trajectory of the world that we're a part of and come from and into this sort of autonomous self-reflective state that prizes progress, prizes convenience, prizes profit. There's been a sort of a bifurcation and a sort of continuing separation from, you know, harmony.
Driverless cars are already on the roads, and within the next few years they could become a common sight.
All right, but they could also mean the loss of thousands of jobs. Some speculate it could cause the biggest disruption in the workforce since the Industrial Revolution.
The problem is as well with something like self-driving cars is that loads of people are going to lose their jobs. Now, what is the aim? What kind of society are we trying to create? Are we trying to create a society where these big corporations can maximize their profit, or are we trying to create a society where people live purpose-driven lives where they have authority and autonomy and some control and agency in their own existence? Obviously it's the latter, that's what you think, but that is not the case. Huge swathes of the population, because we live in a system that's determined and controlled by economics, if you can't participate in that economic system, you are not only redundant in the sense that you don't have a job, you are socially redundant, you are unnecessary, and these people have to be monetized in new ways, hence the increase of privatized prisons and prison populations required to fill those prisons, hence poverty. It would be good if the ingenuity of Elon Musk and the sort of endeavours of a man like Eric Schmidt could be purposed towards a fairer and more just society, but at the moment that isn't what's happening. And the reason that they posture under the rhetoric of creating a fairer and safer society is because everyone knows that's what you should be doing. Don't use the livery, language and rhetoric of a fair and just society because on your deepest level of your being you know that's what you should be doing, when in fact you're doing quite the opposite.
I'm here in front of something that we might not see too much more of anymore, a yellow taxi cab with a living, breathing human behind the wheel. The reason all of this is happening, money. Robots don't need health insurance, they don't need sleep, and they don't earn overtime.
In 2017, a report by 4 European transport groups estimated that up to 4.4 million truck driving jobs in the US and Europe could become redundant and thus eliminated by 2030 if efforts aimed at widely deploying self-driving commercial vehicles are successful. And 85 million jobs could be lost by 2025. That came from a report of the World Economic Forum. Davos, that friendly little consortium of smiling assassins, said that 85 million jobs will be disrupted. How will they be disrupted? Well, at the moment they're jobs, and then they're going to be disrupted into not being jobs.
Amazon making a big deal in the self-driving car space.
The price that Amazon paid was north of $1 billion, making it one of Amazon's biggest deals.
Of course, one of the companies that are investing in driverless technology is Amazon. How do Amazon balance the complicated demands of caring for their workforce and looking after continually increasing profits? How have they behaved up till now with the enormous power that they have?
Amazon actually had to acknowledge that yes, in fact, their drivers are forced to urinate in bottles.
Our drivers are not forced to urinate into bottles. Did I say aren't? They are. They are forced to. Can I get a drink, please? That is water, right?
Amazon warehouse workers in the state of Alabama have voted against forming a union.
Perhaps drivers are being forced to piss in bottles because of, well, yes, it says here, relentless working practices. Why can't the workers come together and oppose these difficult, draconian and oppressive laws? Well, because Amazon have vigorously opposed efforts by their workers to unionize at a major facility in Alabama. The union claimed that the company illegally interfered with the process. Of course they bloody well did. Amazon threatened workers with layoffs and even closing the warehouse if they unionized. The voting mailbox installed in the parking lot created the false appearance that Amazon was conducting the election, intimidating workers into voting against the union due to security cameras in the parking lot, giving the impression that workers were being watched and that their votes weren't private. Hey, there's no evidence at all of the tech world spying on people and then using that data to manipulate them.
The effort drew much attention and high-profile political support, as it was seen as a bellwether for the future of labor activism.
It's a bit like, I suppose, the Super League, that all these things are emerging in this state of vulnerability, and as many of you say in the comments, I know, never waste a good crisis has become one of the mantras of the controlling elites at this time. The pandemic has left millions of Americans unemployed. In October, 11 million people were unemployed in the US, and humans are experiencing record job losses and economic uncertainty. Robots have become a hot commodity. It's weird, isn't it? Because the way this story is portrayed is like people like look back to like, you know, groups that smashed up printing presses or like Luddites that were suspicious of technological advancement. But these groups were actually organised worker groups that were saying you'll use this technology to further impose regulation and control and reject the rights of ordinary people. And that historically is what's happened, and it's continuing to happen. Even with their freight, might and power that Amazon yield, they still feel the need to control workers' elections, to install intimidating cameras, to prevent them unionizing. What does that tell you? Those of you that feel there is no hope, there is no way of things changing, look how hard powerful interests have to work to prevent change happening.
Now, the big question is, of course, what does Amazon want to do with a self-driving startup? Well, Zoox's technology fits into Amazon's years-long push into robotics, adding to a fleet that already consists of drones, warehouse robots, and mini delivery vehicles.
You're buying drones, warehouse worker robots, and driverless cars. This is really going to help workers to be safe. It's not easy to reach that conclusion from that set of facts, is it?
Last year, Amazon invested in another self-driving car company, Aurora.
Why is Amazon getting into self-driving cars?
Well, it could be because their workers are trying to unionize and have some kind of rights, and they would like to crush those rights by saying you're expendable. Already, without AI, the way that you keep worker wages low is by endless competition for low-wage positions. That's how you do that. But if you could say, well, we've got a robot here, it'll do it for nothing. Can you beat nothing? No. Well, there's your bottle. What you do in that bottle, put that in front of the word off. There's your solution.
At Aurora, we're building a driver. And that driver, we think, can move people, and ultimately will move goods as well.
So potentially self-driving Amazon cars bringing packages to our doors?
I think delivering goods, for sure.
What can we do about that on an individual level? When you're dealing with people, or if you are a person that delivers, remember the humanity that exists between us. We can't allow that to be stripped away. Sometimes when I see the sort of logos and badges and emblems, I forget, you know, this is a human being like me. Somehow the world is being tiled over so that we can't reach the humanity of one another, that we're just human beings that can get on with one another, that we have shared interests. We mustn't have contempt for each other. We mustn't dehumanize each other. We mustn't allow these systems and their intentions to bleed into us so deeply that we're incapable of discovering the divine connection that can exist between people.
When I heard about the Zoox news, I immediately thought that they could maybe cut down on lots of labor costs if they can make their whole fleet self-driving in some way.
They're going to try to cut out that labor force. For $1 billion, they could save an awful lot of money if they could actually turn their delivery fleet into autonomous vehicles.
Digital technology in almost every area of its deployment has become an amplifier of inequality. The tech companies that control it employ almost no one in comparison either to their profits or to non-tech companies of comparable size and scale. Volkswagen employs nearly 656,000 people worldwide as of December 2018. Facebook employed 35,000. So it's a perfect model for automation where you can have incredible wealth, incredible power, incredible assets, and no responsibility to people. A further breaking down of the social contract. I suppose the reason that discourse in the 20th century centered around labour and the power of workers and the proletariat is because the power of the proletariat only existed as the means of production, in their ability to contribute to the economy through the manufacture of goods. Now that's being challenged through AI. The discourse has to change, the aim has to change. We have to look beyond that. We have to be able to diagnose, witness somehow where this thing is heading and prevent it from getting there. We can't get there simply by having economic arguments. We have to have ideological arguments.
Some disturbing new video is taken on a busy freeway in LA and appears to show, as you can see right here, a driver asleep at the wheel. This is crazy. Asleep at the wheel of his Tesla.
Really committed to that sleep as well. Like most people that drive have experienced the sort of that terrifying late night moment when for some reason you try to set yourself a record of carrying on driving and you sort of and you're sort of at war with it. It feels sort of nice and a little bit if he actually wants to go to sleep. What I've never done is gone, think I'll settle down for a proper name. Might as well be sort of blowing little Zeds out of his mouth.
This is both scary and it's bizarre, right? This was recorded by a California couple on one of the busiest highways in the country.
He's totally asleep.
I hope they're concentrating because they're dedicating their time to making this documentary about old Sleepyhead.
ABC News has not spoken to that driver and Tesla declining to comment on the video. The company has said drivers are supposed to keep their hands on the wheel at all times.
Yeah, that's one of the things we say about cars, isn't it? Drivers are supposed to keep their hands on the wheel at all times, unless they're a robot and don't have hands.
It was a scary experience, but also, hey, this is 2019 and that's the future.
Clint does make an interesting point. If the autopilot was on here, the technology worked.
I wonder if they sort of put stuff out like that on purpose, you know, sort of leak it into the media just so that you start to think, oh, well, yeah, it's possible. Look, I could be having a lovely doze on my way to work. Hey, I haven't got a job. There's a robot doing it now.
That car maintained its speed. It never swerved or drifted, but it is still a dangerous incident, and also it is illegal.
But at some point, it may be safe to fall asleep at the wheel.
It could be a monumental health accomplishment.
Oh, right, I get it now. You can see the easy alliance between powerful interests at play here as they sort of gently lubricate the notion of driverless cars. It's not can we, it's ought we. That's the questions that you're asking. Like, not can we, of course, there's all sorts of things that could be created, but would it not be better to employ this ingenuity to create a fairer society? What's the end point? If the end point is to further acquire profits for already powerful interests, to further disempower ordinary people, to turn us into passive consumers, flesh blobs moving between screen to automated car, if you're lucky, back to the sofa, phone in your hand all the time. It's like you're being eliminated from your own existence. I'm not advocating a return to some sort of glorious sort of idyll where we live in the woods. I am actually advocating that a bit. I'm saying we should get back in touch with nature, use technology where necessary to create a fairer and better society. The great Bill Hicks joke, you know, couldn't the same technology that allows missiles to hit a target thousands of miles away be used to fire bananas at hungry people? You know, like, it's a silly joke, but I suppose the point is we can see what the focus and targets of our culture are, and framing it in this jaunty, fun way while actually serving the ends of the powerful is rather insidious, if you ask me. So yeah, use your technology with caution, stay alert, unionize where possible, or at least collectivize, localize, think about your community and the power that your community has, and think very cautiously before absolving yourself of that power and delegating it or gifting it to already powerful interests for safety. If you enjoyed that video, please instruct your AI robot to like it and subscribe it, and then hop in your little driverless vehicle and sign up to my mailing list at russellbrand.com so I can remain in glorious connection with you. Thanks to technology. I recognise it's not technology that's bad. The ideas behind it could be used to create a terrifying peninsula where ordinary folk have no power. If you've got a comment, stick the comment below. I read them and I take particular delight in the malicious ones. I love you, whoever you are, wherever you are. Let's try to use this tech wisely.